We now live in a digital world. Welcome to our digital lives. Thanks to the gadgets we have, we stay connected and enjoy life to the fullest. Of course, we need to get our gadgets from a store we trust. Where else would we go other than Kim Store?
Kimstore is the country's first and most trusted online gadget store. We aim to deliver quality electronics to every Filipino, and most of all, Kim Store is my life's work.
Kim Store stays true to its vision of providing Filipinos the best electronics at the most affordable prices, all in a click of a button.
I started the business when I was 18 years old. I was into photography and blogging. During that time, I was looking for a particular lens in Amazon. Unfortunately, I couldn't check out because it couldn't ship in the Philippines. I think there's a eureka moment to that what if we could do something similar in Amazon?
That eureka moment would become the award-winning brand Kim Store is today.
I always believe that e-commerce is the future. Despite that it was still booming that time, nobody really thought about shopping online unlike this time around. But it was more of the passion, determination that this is really something big in the future.
But it was the excellent customer service, transparency, and commitment to its clients that made Kim Store surpass all challenges and gain the trust of Filipinos.
We really have to build our credibility so that we could really deliver and provide a seamless customer service for our products.
Kim Store's humble beginnings started in a small office in 2006. Now, Kim Store has grown into a 200-strong company in its new office and in its warehouse where products are kept safe, secured, and quality checked.
When I was just starting, I'm just happy having 10 customers in a week. As we grow, we have 10 customers in a day. Then as we grow faster, exponentially, we at least serve 10 customers in every minute. So that's how exponential the growth is in e-commerce. When I was younger, I'm very ambitious, I'm very passionate with my work, but I realized that I couldn't do it alone. So I could say with this business, it was really more of a personal growth for me. Na-enjoy ko yung journey of being an entrepreneur, being a businesswoman, having an own business, and it really helped me and formed me to be the leader that I am. I'm really a very people-oriented leader. I'm more on the personal and professional development of each and every employee because I know they are talented people and I really want them to really grow. Just to share, we started hiring PWD. He's very, very talented.
Kim Store's brand partners and suppliers are continuously growing, offering authentic and premium quality products at reasonable prices and great deals.
We have built a very good reputation with the brand, with the partners. When you say it's e-commerce, usually it's related with Kim Store. So when you say it's technology, it's also related with Kim Store. So it's very easy for us to tap brands and brands actually approach us. They always believe that Kim Store could really market their products in e-commerce.
For the past 15 years, Kim Store has delivered thousands of products all over the Philippines through its courier partners. And in the coming years, Kim Store aims to provide faster and more convenient ways of reaching our kababayans in Visayas and Mindanao.
To all our business partners, in behalf of Kim Store, we would like to thank each and every one of you for the unwavering support that you have given to us all throughout the years. Without your support, we wouldn't be the biggest electronics company in the Philippines.
Kim Store keeps growing, and I'm excited to see what they'll bring to the future of online shopping.
There's this question that how would you talk to yourself if you can go back? I like to thank myself for not giving up because there were really so much challenges, but you just follow what you want, you just follow your heart. With God's grace, everything came to where it is now.
Kim Store will always be the gadget store I trust. And the gadget store me and my friends love.
My dream is to make Kimstore not just the #1 brand, but an enduring Filipino e-commerce brand that will be part of every Filipino's lifestyle. Hi community, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the support that you have given all throughout these years. I was just a college student when I was starting this business, and without your support, I wouldn't be the person that I am. Kimstore wouldn't grow as big as today. Thank you.
When COVID-19 first disrupted the economy, businesses needed a lighthouse to guide them through the storm. So we burned the midnight oil to help our clients automate their data, accelerate their analytics, and deliver actionable insights faster in an ever-changing environment. Now, our clients' predictive signals serve as a daily North Star for critical business decisions that can't wait until tomorrow. Go digital, faster with KPMG in the Philippines.
Digitalization transforming the way businesses bring together customers, data, and processes across industries. Big or small, enterprises of all stripes leverage technology to open up all sorts of different growth opportunities. And there is no greater scale technological experiment on that than what COVID-19 triggered. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mi Myung, and I'm honored to host this morning's event, Business Without Borders, Next Generation Digital SMEs and E-commerce Leaders. This event serves as the Philippine launch of the Global SME Financial Education Program. Just a few statistics to set the stage. The Philippine Statistics Authority recorded over 957,000 business enterprises operating in the Philippines as of 2020. Of that number, a whopping 952,000 or 99% are micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSMEs. Together, these MSMEs generated some 5.4 million jobs, which translates to around 63% of the country's total employment. These numbers tell us a very important fact, that SMEs are the backbone of our economy, the driving force of economic prosperity and inclusivity. Now, the time could not be more perfect to push for SMEs digitalization and financial education, as they're expected to help the country's economy bounce back post-pandemic significantly. To tell us more about that, may we now call on Amor Maclang for her opening remarks to officially start the program. Now, Ms. Maclang is an internationally awarded brand architect, movement maker, and marketing and communications innovator. She is the first in the Philippines to become an ISO 31000 crisis management practitioner. Ms. Maclang specializes in high-risk and high-impact industries such as technology, energy, and public health. She has a wealth of experience in inception marketing and public relations and has worked with both the public and private sectors for the country's good. She's also the co-founder and chief reputation architect of Geyser Maclang, the convener of the World FinTech Festival Philippines and Digital Pilipinas, and the co-convener of the Vaccine Solidarity Movement. She is the pro bono advisor to the UP College of Public Health and the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination. She has also been working with the Department of Health in its COVID-19 communications response since 2020. As a champion of marketing, as a force for good, her projects demonstrate that you can hit your business goals while still doing good for the country. Ladies and gentlemen, Please welcome Miss Amor Maklang.
Hello everyone. Good morning. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Assalamualaikum. You know, when we first started this fintech journey sometime in 2017, which doesn't feel like too long ago, because I think in blockchain years is like similar to dog years. We knew it was just the beginning of a journey to help humanity reach its full potential through technology. Now, slowly, many doors and worlds are opening up because of fintech. Geographic doors, as narratives within ASEAN, Asia with Africa, Asia with Latin America, Asia with Europe, or segments and verticals. From fueling insurance, now translating into insurtech, proptech, edutech, and so on and so forth. Perhaps one of the most important verticals that fintech can truly support and valorize is the SME sector. The International Finance Corporation, the IFC, estimates that 65 million firms, or close to 40% of formal micro, small, and medium enterprises in developing countries, have an unmet financing need of close to 5.2 trillion every year. And East Asia and the Pacific accounts for the largest share, which is close to 50% of the total global finance gap. The IFC also estimates that globally there are roughly 9.34 million women-owned SMEs in over 140 assessed countries, and notes that the credit gap for formal women-owned SMEs across all regions is staggering. Two of our Digital Pilipinas co-conveners, GCash and Sendit, both of whom are unicorns, and our most recent partner, Tala, a global tech micro-lending fintech that's also moving closer to unicorn status, and one of the largest technology verticals for e-commerce in ASEAN, Kim Store, has chosen to champion and empower women-owned SMEs. A digitally connected world does not just stand on the shoulder of giants, it stands on the very backbone of SMEs. Today, special shout out to the Department of Trade and Industry, with whom we are undertaking three various work streams. Number one, from the financing of SMEs through SB Corp to promoting the Philippines as a nascent technology hub for investments via the Bureau of Investments and also the group of USEC FITA. And last but not the least is through the initiatives of the Philippine Trade Training Center of the DTI, led by Executive Director Nelly Nita De Liera. Our target for this year, we've started earlier, is to reach the 40,000 SMEs in the cohort of the PTTC. Super special shout out to our friends in Mapua, specifically Dr. Ray Vea, the chairman of the iPeople Consortium. iPeople is the academic coming together of two conglomerates, the Ayala Group and also the Yuchenko Group. They have actually started a fintech program via a grant with the European Union's Erasmus. And we're very proud to be partnering with Mapua in the Proxtera and also the Oxygen project. Special shout out to Globe, especially Miss Yoli Crisanto and the leads in their SME program. We all know Globe to start off as the telco that first gave us our permanent mobile number, but it has since evolved to become one of the most important technology companies in the Philippines. More than that, they've actually birthed the first ever unicorn in the country, that being GCash. Thank you for believing that education, micro education, and SME empowerment are important pillars in building a digital Pilipinas. And our next step, without preempting, one API for every SME in a digital Pilipinas. I cannot imagine a more fitting enabler. Last but not the least, before I wrap up, I would have to give special thanks and mention to the tour de force in teching up the financial services system of our time. Minister Supnendo Mohanty, who is the Chief Financial FinTech Officer of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and the Deputy Executive Director of the MAS, Mr. Eugene Go, who has provided all of us a true north for digitalization, not just for the Philippines, not just for ASEAN, but for the rest of the world. Recently, I have been appointed as the ASEAN Execo Chair of the Global Impact for FinTech, which is one of the largest think tanks for FinTech advocacy in the world. And I'm proud to say that I'm working collaboratively with the FinTech Association heads of Indonesia, the two of them, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Cambodia, and of course, we have vowed to come together as a hashtag One ASEAN FinTech movement. We hope to be able to share this initiative in two global platforms that the MAS is setting up. One is the global launch of the SME Financial Education Program in Ghana, happening in June, where the Philippines is proudly one of the 4 countries supporting this initiative. And of course, last night we had an amazing chat with the European Chamber of Commerce and also the government of Hungary in charge of its digitalization program, how all ASEAN roads lead to Europe and vice versa. Also in June of this year, I will not preempt the speech of Chief Mohanty, but many of the important investors, regulators, and founders are all going to Europe for what is touted to be the biggest coming together in person for Web 3.0, the Point Zero Forum. So in behalf of the co-conveners of Digital Pilipinas, some of the largest technology financial services companies in the Philippines, all of whom are nationalists, we would like to thank everyone for their support in this initiative. There has never been a better time to be an Asian and to be in technology. Let's build a digital Pilipinas in a digitally connected world, one SME at a time. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
All right. Thank you very much, Amor. You know, your passion and energy for teching up Pilipinas is really contagious. Now, without further ado, I think we're ready to welcome our first keynote speaker, Mr. Supnendo Mohanty, Chief FinTech Officer of the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Good morning, Mr. Mohanty. The floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, and good morning to everybody in Philippines. It's a great moment for all of us to take this exciting program global. But let me set the context here. And as Amor mentioned, that SME does play a significant role in most of the economies around the world. And as they account for most of the jobs, they contribute in many countries for 40 to 50% of national income. And if world has to find jobs, another 600 million jobs in by 2030, it's the SMEs who are going to come and provide the necessary, it's the necessary engine of creating jobs. But to make the SMEs vibrant, to grow, access to finance is key. And many a times this has been cited as a key constraint. Uh, Most of the emerging market SMEs continues to be underserved. They struggle to get loans from the banks. They mostly rely on internal cash flows and borrowing from friends and family. And they run the enterprise with a lot of financial constraint. And that's kind of limits their growth, and they stay small and medium rest of the life. As one would say, no idea is small and big. It is that it is those constraints which constrains them both physically and also financially, and hence they always remain small and medium through the life cycle. So what we really want to do as part of this journey is to find a path for SMEs, so that we focus on helping them to take their idea, be small, be medium scale at this point of time, and find a path for them to become a bigger enterprise, a scalable enterprise in future. And I strongly believe the classification of medium, the micro and small medium enterprise is a transitory thing. No business should restrain themselves or constrain themselves by this definition. Now, how do we do this? The way to do this is to find good technology where such constraint can be removed. And that's the focus for our journey here. We are looking at how do we make digital solutions and financing options available to large corporates, can also be made available to small and medium enterprise. And to do that, we got to be sure that SMEs are fully aware of that path and how to get there. And hence allows them to grow that market, strengthen their resiliency when external shocks happens like COVID or some kind of natural disaster, whatever it is. And hence they can participate in the wider economy. So being part of the digital landscape, being part of the digital network does allow them to scale and also be part of the overall growth of a country. So what is the most important need today we have? The most important need is to make SMEs aware. And to start that, we got to figure out how to provide a knowledge platform where they can learn and understand foundational financial literacy and also the new tools they can use in this world of digital economy for them to scale and succeed and transform their own business ideas. So this is where public and private sector need to collaborate, upskill the SMEs, and find a way that this segment of businesses uh, do benefit from the digitalization of the whole economy. So to do that, MS is now working with Philippines government and private sector to offer an international program, SME program, which allows small and medium businesses to go through a certification process, both on the foundational knowledge and a global financial certificate with a much more advanced understanding of how to access financial services and digital technology. With this open program, we will provide a wider range of almost a skilled range of people whom we can target this literacy program. Hence, allow them to understand the power of digital tools and understand the power of uh, financial education. Hence, they will be able to make use of this knowledge for their growth. And hence, as they get through this education program, they can also get an access to the financial services, access to new tools, access to new customers. And this is where we'll all come together to provide that opportunity. And for that, what we is the reason why we designed Proxtera and Epic's platform. Proxtera connects businesses, Epix connects digital tools. And what we've done for this program, as an example, if you go to Proxtera today, there are a few things we are developing in this program. One is a basic education, how to make people literate about financial needs, financial behavior, and the financial knowledge about how to run a business, how to access tools, the whole certification program. Then we're also providing to the platform for small businesses to manage in a digital space their buyers or sellers network, or they're searching for a buyer, searching for a seller, depend on their need. We're also providing through the platform financial services who are plugged in through APIs, and if the business who are doing a trade across the border or domestic market can access finance. We also in some market working with multilateral bank to provide first class guarantee. So we are building this whole set of life cycle services on the Proxtera platform, where every piece of business services of a small and medium enterprise has been automated, and API is provided in the most simplest way to do business in a digital mode. So with Proxtera and the Epix tool, which provides the learning platform, we are going to drive this initiative not only in Philippines, also in Singapore, India, Africa, and we can scale further. And this initiative would be in partnership and complement the various SME education and digital program which maybe Philippine government is already doing, which includes Department of Trade and Industry and Department of Sciences Technology, which I believe are in attendance today. So with that optimism and that hope, I'm looking forward for the June launch of the Global SME Certification Program, which is the first step to the SME Empowerment Program, which will be delivered through Proxtera and API Exchange platform. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to work with Philippines and the Philippines ecosystem, and we look forward to it. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Mohanty, for the insightful message. Indeed, the development of fintech has made our transactions and our day-to-day lives more efficient and convenient. Moving on now to the next part of our program, may we call on the Department of Trade and Industries, Ms. Nelly De Liera. Ms. De Liera is the Executive Director of the Philippine Trade Training Center of the DTI. She leads the training arm of that organization. The Global MSME Academy is committed to providing comprehensive training and capacity building programs for the development, growth, and innovation of MSMEs. Good morning, Ms. De Liera. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mimi, and good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Amor and the team, of course, MAS, for making us a part of this very laudable initiative, pushing the MSMEs in the Philippines and in certain, chosen countries to greater heights. Actually, the earlier collaboration between Digital Filipinas and DTI, Philippine Trade Training Center, as what Mimi was saying, we're actually the training arm of the Department of Trade and Industry. And we started the collaboration last quarter of 2021, that was last year, which was our mini pilot. And we were able to reach as many MSMEs in our database and got to introduce digitalization, which I think is the call of the times. Even at the Department of Trade and Industry, it's one of the very priority that this current administration is pushing, such that our MSMEs will be connected to other MSMEs in the world. And of course, introducing them to the many possibilities of digitalization. And starting early this year, the trajectory is actually to create our greatest, our SMEs as our greatest exports. Because after all, if we do not have the entrepreneurs or producing services or producing products which are ready for the international market, then we won't also be able to produce exporters to the global economy. Yes, and this is through digitalization, we're not actually uprooting them from where they are.
So wherever they are in the Philippines, cities and provinces, their respective regions, we were able to reach them through digital platform and also introduce to them digitalization courses and building up the skills, reskilling, and even upskilling not only the entrepreneurs, but also on how they develop their respective products. The Philippines is actually excited to build a digital Filipinas for SMEs that can stand head to head with the best MSMEs in the world. And I think the best way to do that, as what Mr. Mohanty was saying early on, is really to be a part of the world SMEs, to experience, to observe, and to network with the world's champions and leaders, because it will really be the very, it will really be a very good teaching and learning experience when they get to involve themselves with the champions and the leaders in enterprises in the world. PTTC is actually excited to be a part of this historic global pilot in SME digitalization together with Ghana, India, and of course, Singapore. And now just to mention Singapore, currently we're working with the Singapore government because we're referencing on the Singapore skills framework for the development of career pathways, job roles, functional and enabling skills and competencies, and corresponding proficiency level to prepare curriculum and modules guided by the skills framework. And we're very happy to report that we were already able to complete, I think, more than 500 skills documents covering different positions for career pathway, skills documents, which are actually defining also the job roles, the critical functions and the key tasks corresponding to the jobs identified in the career path, and of course the skills, competencies, and enabling skills, and competencies. And also let me also highlight that the skills framework that we have already prepared for the Philippines include logistics and supply chain, digital animation, game development. These are for sectoral skills framework, and we have also developed cross-sectoral skills frameworks which are applicable to different sectors, and this include business development, marketing, sales and finance, and human capital development, which will be launched this coming May. So I think the practices that they had in Singapore, or the practices that our champions and leaders would have in different parts of the world, will really open our eyes, and the network, the sharing of best practices and integration or validation and contextualization to our respective areas will really be very helpful in pushing forward the interests of our MSMEs. So as we prepare for more SMEs to become business without borders, we will look to building not just a digital Filipinas, but digital connected world, one SME at a time. Again, congratulations and thank you for making us a part of this great initiative. Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga.
And thank you, Ms. Deliera, for that speech and for everything that you do for the country through DTI. Now, for our next speaker, let's all welcome Dr. Enrico Paringit, Executive Director for Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development. Now, before joining the DOSTP Share, Dr. Paringit served as an educator who taught at the University of the Philippines College of Engineering, where he also earned his BS in Geodetic Engineering in 1997 and his Master of Science in Remote Sensing in 1999, before earning his doctorate in engineering from the Tokyo Institute of Technology in 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Dr. Paringit. Dr. Paringit? Okay, he is unable to join us, so I think it's time for us to go straight to the next portion of the program. At this point, we're ready to witness the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Monetary Authority of Singapore and the Department of Trade and Industry, Philippine Trade and Training Center, DTI PTTC, from the Philippines, which is supporting SME financial education. May we now call on representatives from the Monetary Authority of Singapore and DTI PTTC to formally sign the first MOU that MAS will ink with the Philippines to further enhance the digitization of domestic SME space. All right, so we're calling on, of course, Ms. Amor Maclang to join, convener of Digital Pilipinas and co-founder of Kaiser Maclang, Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty, the Chief FinTech Officer of Monetary Authority of Singapore, and of course, from DTI, PTTC, Ms. Nelly Diliera for the MOU signing. It's a ceremonial MOU signing. All right. I think they've all signed the document. It's ceremonial because they're still talking about the details there. But we'd like to congratulate ladies and gentlemen for this. Let's all give them a warm applause. And may we now call on all the parties for please a quick photo op. All right. Someone from the team, I think, will take charge of the photo opportunity. But let me count to 3. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, everyone. In 3, 2, 1, smile. Another one. In 3, 2, 1, smile. All right. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations once again for this MOU, government to government between the Philippines and Singapore. And we're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen, as we have with us today an impressive and inspiring roster of panelists who are all experts in their fields that tie together into a more digital Pilipinas to help us gain an even better understanding of how digitalization and the SME financial education program would benefit our SMEs and ultimately our country. Let's all welcome on the virtual stage, Saurav Bhattacharya, CEO of Proxtera. Hi, Saurav. Okay, please join us. There you go. Carlo Calimon, Director of Startup Village. Hi, Carlo. Good morning. Also joining us, Robertson Chiang, founder and CEO of Dragon Pay. Good morning, Robertson. Also joining us, Kim Lato, owner and founder and CEO of Kim Store. Miss Arlene Martinez, founding president of ACSB. Mr. Ramesh Nagarajan, head of payment security, APJ Outseer. Ms. Yang Yang Chang, Managing Director, Send It Philippines. And to represent Brancas, Mike Dickinson, Chief Product Officer. All right, I think everybody's here. Welcome to the panel discussion. We'd like to remind our audience, you can join the discussion. Do type in your questions at any point. We'll try to address them as many as we can over the next 30 to 40 minutes. But let me throw in the first question. I want to throw in the first question to Saurav of Proxtera. Saurav, just very quickly, could you give us 1 to 2 case studies of how your B2B network platform has helped SMEs survive, and not just survive, but thrive during the last 2 years of the pandemic? How powerful is the tool, the platform?
So thank you, Mimi, for having me here, Amor and the team. Very happy to be here and share my thoughts and also learn from the panel. So to get straight to your question, if you look at it as the crisis that emerged with COVID 2 years back, we are of course through it in most of the countries, but we have to still be resilient. But one of the most important aspects that the crisis created was a supply chain crisis. And that doesn't stop here today. It continues as we see more global conflicts come forward. And when supply chain crises happen, the traditional backbone of communication between established buyer-supplier relationships start to break because of a lot of adversity that's brought in. So that is the area where we were able to help. And of course, we intend to help a lot more going forward. Because at the end of the day, when the crisis hits, we need to be able to establish trust between new parties, new buyer-seller trade pairs, and get that trade going. And as Sopnendu mentioned earlier, our CFTO at MAS, that is where trust is a deficit, that is where financing is a deficit, that is where we need a lot to be provided to the SMEs in the form of support as such. So there were examples which range from medical equipment to general supplies, but we're seeing a lot more of that happen today, where it's no longer a medical crisis, but it's also almost a trade crisis. So I will stop over here right now, but I'm sure our panelists will add on quite a bit as well.
Because Saurabh, for those who are not too familiar, Proxtera, actually, you guys offer a single integration point, right? A one-stop
correct.
shop, a
Yeah.
B2B marketplace where SMEs can reach out to one another, reach out to platforms, associations, government bodies, and trade organizations, correct?
Absolutely. So we are the silent player behind. Trade platforms in their own countries do a damn good job of covering local buyers, sellers, and the SMEs. We connect them virtually globally so that the discoverability happens at a global level, so that the matching and terms and conditions can also be looked at a global level. So thereby bringing more opportunities for the SMEs to thrive, the ones that do want to go global as well. So we are a virtual faceless organization in the background, and that's how we work. Thank you, Mimi, for putting that out there.
All right. And before we let you go, Saurabh, just wanted to double check, how big is your network right now? Is it still you serving 400,000 SMEs through 13 marketplace partners in 7 countries? Are those still the numbers that you have?
It's grown beyond that, but we are also at a point in time where we are reassessing how we go forward. As you can imagine, we are running the SFE program globally. We are also looking at the trust corridors that Swapnindu talked about just earlier. So we are re-strategizing how we go forward, and hence we're keeping the network to a particular size, but we want more depth in the activity so that there are more cases of wins, and then we push ahead from that strength to strength.
All right. At this point, we'd like to welcome into the panel to join us this morning, Katie Dizon of MSME Group of Globe Business. Hi, Katie. Welcome to the panel.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. So let's start with, let's go to KD now. I mean, Globe Telecom is a telco giant here in the Philippines. Do you think digitalization really levels the playing field?
Oh, absolutely, because you're not limited anymore to a location. It used to be about location, right? But that's so old school already. Digitalization really allows you a much broader opportunity to address a much bigger market and to actually learn and be exposed to so much more beyond that. It also allows you to make your operations much more efficient, much faster. So there's really a lot of positives that come with that. So I think it's really the game changer in the leveling of the playing field for any country, actually.
Katie, let's focus on the SMEs because these are the smaller players that we have. You know, digitalization, when you hear it, sounds, complex, costly, and to some unnecessary. Many are still unsure about what to prioritize. Many are feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tech decisions they have to be making, oftentimes since they're small companies without the support of any IT department. These are SMEs or companies that usually don't have the chief information officers or the tech guys to guide them with these decisions, unlike larger businesses.
Yes.
So what can you say about that? How do you bridge that gap?
Well, I think, one, that's absolutely true. And we know that these MSMEs are really the backbone of the country. So I think the onus is really on all of us to really be able to enable them and help them. And so while they don't have all of this internal support, it's something that we at Globe Business really try to help provide for them by coming up with solutions that are much more MSME relevant or MSME apt. There's a lot of solutions out there that are really, very much an enterprise type of solution and that are complex and that require like an army or a village to really help implement. But we are coming up with, and we have a lot of solutions that are actually much more DIY. We're looking to build things that are self-serve and those that don't need a whole battalion of people to implement. Plus, we ourselves want to get very involved with our customers. So our micro, small, medium customers, we actually want to be part of that digitalization journey with them. So it's not about just selling a product and then leaving them be. It's actually going in step with them in their growth journey in the context of being digital. So that bridge, I think, is actually not just technology. It's, to use a Filipino word, it's the malasakit. I think that we are trying to imbibe within Globe Business to really be on a journey with our customers to help them grow through a digital transformation.
Mm-hmm. And I want to go to another lady here who's really ridden on the digital wave many years ago, Kit. Kim Lato of Kim Store. Kim, what are the tips that you can give entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, SMEs of today about how they can build, how they can launch and grow a profitable online store like Kim Store?
Well, at first, first-hand experience of consumers, people are now into mobile devices. So, e-commerce players will have to make online shopping experience more intuitive through interfaces that are easily understandable. So, for example, you're really new into the e-commerce scene, you may want to take advantage about the e-commerce aggregators, their platforms such as marketplaces in the likes of Lazada and Shopee. But if you really wanted to really grow a big brand like Kim Store, I think you need to consider creating your own e-commerce website. You have to create an or offer to your customers seamless customer experience on your website that would really be easily understandable and would really invite customers to shop on your website.
But Kim, would you agree with me when I say that um, digitalization will not come cheap, and it will cost money? For example, Google Ads, you actually bid for every click. So it's the guys with the deeper pockets with more money who can actually benefit more than the smaller players, the SMEs who might not have that big a budget for online marketing.
Well, Mimi, just to share, when I started the business way back 2006, I only started in a social networking site. When it got defuncted, so I really built a website and then use Facebook as my marketing arm. In these days, if you really wanted to start business online, it's very easy. So you go to Lazada and Shopee and use their marketing channels such as live streaming, their SEO, SEM. You can also use it in Google search, but they also have the platform has the capacity to really help merchants to really grow their business by using their marketing or their database as well.
All right. Thank you for that, Kim. Let's welcome into the panel. He's joined us already, Ramesh Nagarajan of Outseer. Hi, Ramesh. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's talk about Outseer. Could you give us a 60-second pitch of what Outseer actually does and how you think we can accelerate growth in the digital finance space?
Absolutely. So Outseer is basically a brand of RSA. We are a new brand, a spin-off in terms of working as part of the fraud and risk intelligence. What we do is we are in the payment authentication as well as part of the online and mobile banking authentication. We do risk-based authentication to assess the risk assessment of all the consumers logging in, because what we believe is cybersecurity needs to be taken seriously, not only from the bank's perspective, from fintech's perspective, but also from SME's perspective as well. So, and our story has been, we've been in the industry for a couple of decades now. We've been using that experience on understanding fraud patterns, and we are bringing in through a new brand called Outseer.
You mentioned fraud detection and fintech security. Talk to us about that. How's that looking right now?
So security, what we are seeing from not just from a Philippine perspective, from the ASEAN level, is that cybersecurity awareness that needs to be brought in, and also it needs to be thought from the ground up as well. So a lot more organizations, banks especially, are looking to see how they're able to protect consumers, and SME consumers are no different, because we are looking to see two major points, which is financial literacy and inclusivity. So once people understand, like for example, we have all been part of, or we have known people who've actually been part of some scams, some phishing attacks, some issues, that reduces the trust in the system. So essentially, banks and fintechs and in the banking enterprise, everyone's looking to make sure that the brand is not brought down. And also customers get access to their banking system, because we are seeing a growth in customers using the online platform as a result of pandemic. So we need to make sure that we also look into fraud aspects as well, not just from the growth story.
Speaking of the security side of fintech, for example, I want to ask Mike of Brancas. Mike, does the open finance framework, add value to consumers beyond, the premise of data protection?
Yeah, thanks, Mimi. Yeah, absolutely, it does, right? So basically, in order to provide openness within the market, and building APIs, for example, with banks and other financial institutions, will allow for the access within any sort of digital environment, right? And to be able to perform certain financial services like funds transfers, payments, retrieval of data, information, or other financial instruments like account opening, loan origination, within any application will allow for people to get access to financial services. It will allow for financial education to occur, and it can all be done securely. And I think it's a very exciting time for the Philippines.
I want to go to Arlene Martinez now. She is, of course, the founding president of ACSP. Arlene, could you give us the big picture of what exactly it is you do for your clients in this space?
First of all, congratulations, Digital Filipinas, PTTC and DTI, and of course, the Monetary Authority of Singapore for the MOU. Thank you for having me. What we do here, the Asia Council for Small Business is a regional affiliate of a bigger group called International Council for Small Business Global. So we are the regional affiliate, and what we do really is to connect MSMEs through bringing together experts in different industries and different groups to help them really be able to understand growing through cross-border businesses, and what is good about us is that, we aim to be the MSME pathfinder, enabling borderless business. We wanted to create tech and innovation enablement projects to lead MSME, talking about the one API, one MSME, we're into that. And to activate members that will drive sustainability of the members and its beneficiaries. It's not a business for us, it's an NGO group. It's a group of people coming together, sharing the one vision of bringing MSME homegrown brands cross-border. So that is who we are. And what we wanted to do really is to help Filipino MSMEs, highlight their products and be able to reach not just the Philippine market, not just the Asian market, but the global market as well.
Arlene, I'm very curious. They always say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Could you cite specific homegrown MSME brands from the Philippines that have successfully, done this cross-border transaction with other MSMEs or have put the Philippines on the map, regionally speaking?
So we all know Jollibee. We all know Potato Corner. But from the lower level of homegrown, micro, small businesses, that is something that we need to put together and push the level up. And that is why Asia Council for Small Business also is here to help. It's going to be a tough fit. There's so many things to do. There's so many things to understand. But people like Amor Maclang and Gingay Ontiveros are coming together to really see how we can do this and help Filipino MSMEs move forward.
I'm going to go back to the Jollibee Potato Corner story later because these are no longer considered MSMEs. They're listed companies, very big market cap in the billions of dollars. We'll get to that later, but I'm very curious, Arlene, from your lens, looking at things regionally, you have a very interesting vantage point where you can compare, territories versus other territories. Do you think Philippine MSMEs, we stand a chance, against the startups of neighboring countries like Singapore, for example, like Vietnam? What is our unique personality as, Philippine MSME or startups? And how do we
Mimi, Filipino MSMEs are very innovative. They're very creative. And, when we talk about the food industry, we really give out very delicious food out there. The service is impeccable. It's just that, teaching everybody that there's a new way, non-traditional way of doing business. And it's not within just the Philippines, we can look at one example, Tokyo Tempura. Tokyo Tempura is a local franchise. It's, if you want a very, not really, when you talk about tempura, you think about expensive, authentic Japanese tempura. But it's one of the favorite food of the Filipinos. And what they did is to make it, what is cheap, not really cheap, but, affordable is a better term, to local Filipinos. Now they're not just in the Philippines. I think they've expanded they have Vietnam already or another country that they're reaching out. So if we can grow homegrown brands outside of the Philippines just like that and multiply them into several thousands, and I believe Philippines will be growing economically because that's the biggest economic contributors that we have.
All right, thank you for that. Arlene, we now want to go to Yang Yang. Yang Yang, how does Send It support the growth of SMEs? What is your role here?
Hi, it's so nice to see you again, Mimi. I think that in terms of what Send It does, I think everyone knows that we are a payment gateway. So I think that when you typically think about that, what most people first think of is just helping SMEs collect payments. And so I think at the very core, what we do is help SMEs expand to beyond their traditional markets, right? I think currently, a lot of SMEs are just servicing brick and mortar use cases. They have to do a lot of transactions in person. When the pandemic hit, they were forced to digitalize. And so I think for us, we give them a quick and easy way to be able to expand to digital markets and digital audiences as well. But I think in terms of what we want to do for SMEs, beyond just the simple mission of giving them access to online payments, it's really giving them access to resources to grow. So I think in terms of our SME initiatives, it's really, along with our industry partners, we try to champion financial education. We want to give SMEs access to new tools and services that are customized to their specific needs. I think a lot of people think about Send It as serving these sort of regional whales, but I think that what we try to champion is taking all the bells and whistles that we built out for enterprise and democratizing them so that even SMEs have access to really secure, really reliable services. And I think finally, because Send It does, come backed with, a lot of VC funding from abroad, we want to be able to provide that pipeline also to local startups. We want to become that conduit by which local startups can have access to funding from abroad, funding even locally, and give them that opportunity to open up their business to the rest of the world as well.
Yang Yang, I'm very curious. Do you think your space is getting a little bit too crowded already? I mean, we have so many traditional banks getting into fintech. We've got digital wallets left and right. We've got so many payment gateway system companies. Is the space getting crowded?
I think that when you think about what we want to do, which is essentially be this hub, this one-stop digital platform to connect everybody, we always say the more the merrier. I think that when you think about the fintech landscape, the party is expanding, right? Like everybody wants a little piece of fintech. But where we want to be is really that agnostic player that connects everyone. And then, of course, opens that up. And as I said earlier, really democratize that access for even the smallest of SMEs. So I think in terms of the space getting crowded, I think really the more innovation there is, the more players there are that enter the space. It will push regulators to be more flexible. It will push SMEs to take bigger risks. And I think that ultimately it can only be good for the industry as a whole.
Yang Yang, we met before, and you were, the last time that we met, you were with a different company and you were very active in the cryptocurrency space. So before we move on to the next speaker, I wanted to get your take. Do you think, cryptocurrencies is the future of payment systems? That this is the next step, inevitable next step?
Yeah, so I think, the last time we spoke, I remember very clearly we had this great debate about, what crypto is it secure? And I think that, crypto will be a integral piece of payments 2.0, 3.0. But I think that even then, what we knew is that banks are here to stay because regulators will ultimately still rely on these sort of traditional financial institutions, regulated financial institutions. And so ultimately, while I feel like crypto will come in and become more and more regulated and become a really integral piece of day-to-day transactions, there will still always be a place for Web 2.0. And again, also for Finance 1.0 for all these traditional banks. And so I think it's really about, again, being able to continue to be that one-stop hub, whether it's Web 2.0, Web 3.0, crypto, building one access point for any innovation that might come along, whether that's crypto, central bank-backed digital currencies, whatever comes along.
Big picture, KD, where does the Philippines stand, you think, in terms of building a digital ecosystem for startups? I ask you because Globe has its fingers on so many things. It's like you're also building your own ecosystem for SMEs. You don't just offer payments, you offer so many things. So how do you think, how do we stack up against, other economies when it comes to building this ecosystem?
Well, I think you're absolutely right that is something that Globe is at the forefront of, having our fingers in everything, and that would really help the digitalization of the whole country, because that is part of our purpose and our mission is really for the businesses to be able to flourish, and that's making us an admired nation of really strong small, medium, big enterprises. So I think, though, that, Arlene had said it earlier, that what is so unique about the Filipino is that they are so innovative. Every little thing, they can put a twist to it. So I think we are up there with the rest of the nations because we can always come up with something very unique, very interesting. And what we need to be able to do, I guess, in the government, the private sector, et cetera, is to enable that to come out and be able to be seen by the rest of the world. I don't think we have a lack of creativity or firepower in terms of innovation in our regular Filipino, our regular one. Everyone is so creative, even in little ways. You see it on TikTok and Kumu and everything. They find ways. The Filipino discarte is really so deeply rooted within our culture. But we need to enable this. We need to be able to bring this out digitally to everyone and make it easy and not intimidating for our MSMEs. When you think technology, digital transformation, it all sounds like such big words, and we don't want them to get scared, because this is how we're going to make ourselves, very world class. So the onus is really on us to make it so very, very user-friendly for our MSMEs. We want them to take those bigger risks. So as Yang was saying, the competition, all of the different digitalization efforts in the country, the more the merrier, because we really need to be able to give our MSMEs all those options. And I think we're not at a point yet that, it's crowded, because there's still so much potential out there. And we're just so happy at Globe Business to be part of that and to be able to enable, to uplift our Filipino entrepreneurs. And it's the most exciting journey, I think, for this country in the coming years. Thank you for that question.
Katie, how many MSMEs are in your program or in your Globe Business initiative?
We have roughly about 100,000.
100,000. That's a pretty big number. And based on the 100,000 who you're helping, who you're equipping with these tools to go digital, how deep do you think are they getting into digitalization? I know we want this to be easy and user-friendly, but we want the experience to be deep as well, not just learning how to post online or sell online. There's so much untapped potential here. For example, e-booking, big data, supplier customer management through digital tools, cloud computing, electronic invoicing, customer relationship management digitally, social media. How deep do you think is the Filipino MSME's experience in digitalization so far is today?
I think we're still just skimming the surface, honestly. What I've seen within my clients and our customer base, it's really largely just about the connectivity. There are some in relation to productivity and digital marketing. Because I think one of the things that's very important to our MSMEs is to really get more and more customers and touch more and more people. But we're really just skimming the surface, and there's so many other solutions out there that can help them up their digital journey and further down their journey as a business. So these steps are actually for us to help them go through, because unlike the bigger enterprises that there really is a dedicated department or group that is driving this for the company. The MSMEs are doing everything themselves. their business is equal to them. It's so personal. And if we cannot get personal with our MSMEs, then we're going to fail in trying to help them in their journey. So I think it's very important that, apart from creating a portfolio or solutions that actually help them on their journey in a much more simple and relevant way, it's to have that personal relationship with them, because they need to trust you. I think that it's very important for small businesses to be able to find that trust, because that's their own money. That's their own risk. And if we don't understand that from a private sector perspective or the government perspective, it's really going to be very difficult to help them grow. So I think that's one of the most important parts of it.
Thank you for sharing that, KD. I think Saurav raised his hand earlier. Wanted to say something, Saurav?
Yes, that's correct. I wanted to pitch in with what Katie was just saying, that at the end of the day, SMEs are entrepreneurs. But what is also very interesting is that each one is different. And there's a difference between SMEs, or rather, let me say MSMEs, the micro ones, compared to the large organizations. One slip and they could be out of action completely. So for them, it's really survival at many places. And here's where I want to connect back to what Yang was also saying, the more the merrier. The fact is that we all need to provide different kinds of tools to the different SMEs and the different trade categories, if I may say so. And that's what is required. But from the whole ecosystem perspective, we need to see how we make that a little bit more accessible, how we make that easier to understand, at the end of the day, not to break them down with jargon. And that's where we have a role to play, all individually and collectively. If I may share just one slide, is that okay, maybe?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so all of you will connect with this quite easily, I think. So the fact is, we're not trying to give an equal amount of support to large corporates, SMEs and MSMEs. We need to give them equitable support so that the visibility is the same. And whether we get to liberation or not, we don't know, but the reality is quite stark in many different ways. And that's what we are aiming to do, the equitable part, not so much the equality, of course, ignore the reality and move forward. Liberation is of course, the utopian dream. But leaving that particular thought out there, there's a lot to do between all of our ecosystem players to work together, frankly. Just wanted to share that thought.
Thank you. Saurav, Mr. Mohanty earlier said that Proxteria is going to help with the Global SME Certification Program. Could you give us more details on that?
Yeah, so if you look at some of the points also said by the panelists today, at the end of the day, there is literacy in general, and you would be surprised how many budding individual entrepreneurs globally might not make that mark even. Then there is digital literacy, all the buzzwords we talked about, cloud technology, security, et cetera, there is that. And then there is financial literacy. How do you access financing so that you can grow your business? In most cases, because SMEs have usually such small margins, they do need, I would say, credible and rational financing to make them grow. So that is where we are looking at certain foundation courses globally. And as Swapnindo hinted on a few countries, but we're looking at many more, to basically put that financial literacy in place. And that is where we are happy to work with Digital Filipinas and the government in Philippines as well to launch it, along with Globe Telecom as a partner as well. So we are looking forward to that. It's a brand new initiative in many ways on the road. So just watch out for more to come as we roll it out.
All right, I saw Amor raise her hand earlier, cheering you on. No, okay, we'll hear from her later. She's always a great cheerleader in these initiatives. I want to ask Arlene and Kim now, from the Philippines perspective, when you look at the MSME, the startup scene, India always comes up. India is minting startup unicorns at a record pace. It now ranks number 4th in the world with 96 unicorns. Ahead of India would be the US, still number 1, 1,036 unicorns, startup unicorns. China is a distant second at 252. The UK is 3rd with 100, and then you've got India with 96. What do you think are these countries doing right that you hope the Philippines can replicate so we can give birth to more unicorns after, of course, Globe, after Globe's GCash. Maybe let's start with Arlene for the big picture, and Kim, using your own experience. Arlene?
That is a very good question. One of the things that we have observed in the Philippine setting is that entrepreneurs have limited financial background or where to source funds, you know. So when you have that lack of information, there is fear, there are several challenges that you have to hurdle to really embrace the fact that, hey, I can go and reach out and be able to open up for, let's say, venture capitalists, angel investors. We have to fully understand that. Very, very few have the knowledge of how things work, you know. Carlo Calimon, I saw him. So he is very into this. And a lot of MSMEs are not ready for that. So there are certain readiness that we also have to look at, not just being able to digitize them, but also being able to give them the right mindset if they want to grow and venture on funding. You know, is that IPO? All we know for MSMEs, simple loans, bank loans, you know, that's all we know. But there are other forms of growing and getting increasing your financial capacities, you know. And this is something that we need to also cascade down to the MSME levels in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. Kim, what about you? What are your thoughts? I mean, through knowing your journey, how do you think can Kim Store become the next unicorn? What will you need to propel you to that status?
Well, as they say, youth is the future, right? So maybe we could start creating empowerment programs or creating tech education. I think Digital Pilipinas is doing their part already. I think that's one thing that could really provide opportunities for the youth that, oh, there's this type of opportunity that really could be one of our options of our career or creating a business. Another is maybe the fundamentals in building a startup. Maybe we have so many ideas in mind, but how do you really create a startup, right? And then your question earlier is what's the difference or what does other country do that we don't do, or should I say what can we see that we could really apply in our country? I think it's more on the value creation, more on if people here knows how to create a value, more on improving lives of consumers or looking it on a large scale. I think we could create more unicorn babies.
All
To
right.
more investors.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the day that we break it in the news that Kim Store is the next unicorn from the Philippines. Of course, we'd like to welcome now, joining us, Mr. Carlo Calimon, Director of Startup Village. Hi, Carlo. Welcome.
Hi, Mimi. Morning.
Good morning,
everybody.
All right. So, Carlo, we were just talking about, how we can grow the startup ecosystem here in the Philippines through digital tools and digital means. And we talked about how India has really leapfrogged the number 4th in the world when it comes to the number of unicorns they've produced so far, 96 on record, number 4th after the US, China, and the UK. Carlo, do you think that, how would you describe our startup ecosystem here in the Philippines? What is our strength and what do you think is still lacking?
All right. Thanks for the question. I think that, based also on various ecosystem research reports that have been generated already, the Philippines startup ecosystem is still at its very nascent stage, very early stage. And I think that in comparison also to other countries like India, Singapore, and so on, Vietnam, we're slowly, growing up. Think of us as a child, from a baby slowly becoming into a toddler, and so on, right? So we're going through these phases. Admittedly, we lagged behind a little bit, but we're trying to play catch up, right? And especially because of the pandemic, a lot of these tools or startups have started to pop up, trying to address, as Gobi Core Ventures said, the iron triangle of technology here in the Philippines that we're looking at, basically fintech, e-commerce, and logistics, right? I think those are the main areas right now, or main areas of focus at this point: fintech, logistics and e-commerce. Why? Because of the pandemic, especially, these are the more practical areas that we can focus on because that's what's demanded right now. And in alignment with what Kim said, right? That as the next generation of startups should focus on relevant, practical solutions, not just copycat solutions. There has been a tendency. I've been in the startup scene from the very beginning, right? And there were a lot of solutions that said, okay, this was available in another country, let's just replicate it and do it here. Or this is available there, let's just do it here. It doesn't work like that, right? That's why it was slow to be adapted locally. Why? Because there's that big gap wherein, is this actually demanded by the market, right? Is it the right time to come up with these solutions? But what happened was, people were just, okay, let's just ride with the wave, or let's just do copycat ideas. I remember before when we were being hit by, Yolanda and so on, these major, what they call this, calamities. When you talk to a new startup, okay, what's your startup idea? Disaster prevention. You go to another province, you talk to another person, they say, my idea is also disaster prevention. So everybody's riding that. It's not really practical, it's short term, right? Or when everybody, in the local vernacular, it's like nakikiuso. You're just riding, what's popular, right? So everybody right now is going into things that, should be more practical and should be more relevant to what the market is demanding. And we're slowly seeing this. And that's why the attention is slowly focused on us, even from a regional perspective, because I think that, the formula, we're finally hitting the formula. Startups are finally recognizing, the formula of what it takes, right, to succeed as a startup.
Carlo, just very quick question. I'm glad that you brought up the hashtag #MeToo. When it comes to innovation, they're not really innovating. We're just copying something, giving it a Filipino twist and reselling it packaged a different way. Could you give us an example of one uniquely Filipino startup that you think, is up there, that's changing lives, that's really an innovation?
Sure. I think that, I guess everybody would agree. I think Kumu is one, right? It's a Filipino startup, but, it's very niche and focused towards, really pushing up Filipino content by Filipinos, right? For Filipinos, right? And the model that they're executing, it is also very new, right? And it's not a copycat idea. So, but I think we have more of these coming up. Like another startup that comes into mind is, while it's not digital, but it's still, innovative. One of our startups that we're mentoring is creating nanotechnology, nanocrystals, right? Here in the Philippines, right? Using indigenous materials, right? That's just present in the Philippines. And in the region, would you believe that there are only 3 other companies doing that in the region, and they're all in Japan, right?
Okay.
So
and what are the use cases of these nanocrystals?
Oh, there's so many. You could apply it for paint. Right now, they're using it to create biodegradable packaging. Truly biodegradable packaging. You know how our packaging would often be lined with plastic because of the additive that they add to paper or packaging production. You can now remove that plastic film, thus making the package really biodegradable.
All right. Exciting. We're going to have to watch out for these innovations. I think now we're ready to take questions from the media, from our participants. The first question is for Mike Dickinson of Brancas. Mike, here's a question for you. What are the benefits for SMEs to adopt or embrace open finance as they stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, thanks, Mimi, and to the person who is asking the question. It's a great question. So open finance actually, and the democratization of finance, and I like that Yang was using that term before, is actually going to really help the MSMEs and SMEs. And the way that that's going to happen is allow for them to get access to digital financial services in a much more seamless fashion, right? So we think about an MSME or an SME in the Philippines, if they want to, for example, create a corporate bank account, that's a bit of a drawn out process, right? And with these new digital financial services, which are being made available via APIs and via interfaces, it allows for a lot of these smaller organizations to set up bank accounts quickly and get access to financial services, to get access to business loan products in a much more seamless fashion. The other component here is that a lot of MSMEs, and I would love to hear Katie and her sort of experiences here dealing with her 100,000 merchants, is that they run their businesses out of their own retail or consumer banking accounts, right? And that really limits the financial access, the financial capabilities that these smaller entities have, whereas where they can actually get access to some really sophisticated financial instruments to grow their business. So I think it's very exciting in the Philippines for that front. Also on the fact that it's a very democratic way of sort of pushing out regulations and how things are sort of being piloted in the Philippines. I think it's really exciting because a lot of other countries go for a very top-down approach. And I think that will allow for a lot of innovation to happen in the coming months and years for these sort of micro businesses.
Exciting times ahead for our SMEs. Here's another question, KD, since Mike pointed to you. Here's a question for you from our audience. Building an SME from the ground up takes grit, while sustaining it takes resilience. In what ways could a business continuity plan support various SMEs across all industries?
Well, I think that the pandemic is actually one of the things that has really shown us the importance of a business continuity plan. And I guess, unfortunately, for a lot of smaller businesses, it's not on the top of their list at this point, firefighting little fires every day. But it really, having a business continuity plan is actually, I think, very, very integral to being able to keep your business sustainable, because it allows you to be able to react much better or much quicker and recover much faster when there are, and in the Philippines, there's a lot of, calamities, disasters, etc. So, and a business continuity plan doesn't really have to be so complex. Or it doesn't have to start complex. It can be as simple as some processes or enabling some key employees within the company just to know how to react. And I think that, educating our MSMEs on that is very important. To what Mike was saying is, yes, they do run a lot of things out of their own personal accounts or personal homes, etc. But it's for us to educate them on the benefits to them of having other financial instruments or having business continuity plans, even when it doesn't seem like the first important thing in their minds. It's to show them the benefit and make sure that they know that they would be able to grow and thrive with all of these other solutions. I think there's just an initial hump we have to get over with maybe smaller businesses to show them that the possibilities beyond what they know, what they're able to search on their own on the internet. We really want to be able to educate them. And that's one of the things I think we try to do with Globe Business Academy, with some of our programs like Upstart. We really provide, a lot of webinars, etc., to educate them on financial education, helping them upskill, etc. Because we believe it's not really just about technology and the solutions. You have to equip them as well from emotionally, mentally, to be ready to take the leaps they need to take to really be able to take on all the opportunities that's available for them out there.
All right, thank you for that, Katie.
Good question.
All right, another question this time for Yang of Sendit Philippines. How can SMEs take advantage of technology tools like Sendit to expand their business beyond the traditional market?
Yeah, I think that in terms of expanding beyond what their traditional markets are, I think for us, core, of course, just being able to accept payments online. I think the second is, I referred to this earlier, we want to provide these tools that startups can use in order to digitize quickly. I think the first is that we want to be able to create solutions that allow SMEs to get started without having to have a tech team of their own. So everything from, let's say, a Shopify, a Wix, a WooCommerce plugin, they can really get started within a matter of minutes, to being able to offer, let's say, payment links, which would allow them, for example, Deli by Shell in BGC uses our payment links to allow people to cash out at the end of their meals. Being able to come up with these really creative solutions to accept online payments, again, without that tech expertise. And then finally, we're actually rolling out a new product called Zen Capital. It actually provides working capital loans to our existing customers, particularly SMEs, which have a lot of trouble being able to get those kind of working capital lines of credit on their own. So I think in terms of being able to utilize Zendit, we really want to be that one-stop hub, not just in terms of payments, but of course in being able to provide value-added services that really benefit SMEs as they scale.
Right, the tools are truly out there. This next question is from Len Amador of Manila Bulletin. This is a question for Ramesh Nagarajan. Ramesh, why is fraud prevention critical for SMEs and startups, especially when conducting online transactions?
Great question. And I would just like to continue the conversation with respect to what Yang was talking about from an SME's perspective on the payments mechanisms and things like that. So as the payment volume grows, as more SMEs come in and we have an opportunity to white label goods and things like that, that's only going to increase a lot more commerce into the system. The trust needs to be built into the platform as well. So as the platform grows, the fraudsters are also looking at these kind of activities to see how you can scam people, how you can impersonate other people, how you can take over someone else's account. And so we need to have some strategies to prevent against those things by identifying things of what's happening in the surface web or the dark web, and what kind of information is being passed on, and how to protect consumers. Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to protect consumers at all levels within Philippines. If you're looking to create more unicorns, if you're looking to create more startups in Philippines for the use cases the Philippines offers, one of the major things that needs to figure out is how do we actually ensure that consumers are protected at all levels. And there is a mechanism for, as I mentioned before, from a literacy, from an inclusivity point of view, is to educate them to make sure that they are entering credentials, they're not, they don't fall for fake websites, and they report these kind of issues as and when it occurs. So it's a multifold strategy, but at the end of the day, it's all depends on awareness of cybersecurity issues in the market. To literally get cybersecurity shouldn't be thought of as an afterthought. It needs to be plugged in right from day one of how are we going to provide security to consumers. That needs to be the first thought.
All right. Here's another question for Mike of Brancas. There's a lot of interest in Brancas. How critical is open finance in teching up Philippines?
Well, I'm going to be biased and say hypercritical. So we work with a lot of banks and other financial institutions to basically allow and enable for access to internal financial services, such as payments, data transfers, and other more sophisticated financial instruments. Though I am being facetious when I say that, I do genuinely believe that a lot of what we provide is the very fundamental infrastructure from the banking side, from the banking sector, so that yes, we provide to fintech companies certain access from banks, but also eventually it will be consumed by the MSMEs and SMEs as well, right? And it's really around that opening up that financial access, because it's pretty difficult to have financial education when the access is not really available. They kind of are synonymous with each other.
So essentially, Mike, you guys are the guys working behind the scenes, but you are giving, the whole fintech industry the backbone that it needs to work, and so Filipinos can have access. Am I getting that right?
Yes, correct. So digital finance infrastructure is what we are building, and it's something that obviously we start with banks, it was. Yeah, that's right. And crypto was mentioned before as well. So, obviously that's a fairly flexible thing in the Philippines. And that's something that we also help provide. And to Yang Yang's point, it's, from before, are we going to go down the track of continuing for fiat, or is crypto going to be overtaking? I'm in agreement. They're sort of going to be running alongside each other, helping each other out. So it's being able to provide that infrastructure to Filipinos, I think, is going to be very important to the future.
You guys are always one step ahead because you do the infrastructure side of things. What do you think is the next step for open finance?
That again, fantastic question. So I think the next step is really to get for the Philippines to get into a place where a pilot is in motion, so that banks are opening up in a more standardized way. And it would allow for organizations like ourselves, other fintech startups to be able to connect more seamlessly. And really what that will then enable is leading to the democratization. We start simple, we start with data, sharing information so that you can get access to certain financial services or improving the payments infrastructure of the Philippines. But the end goal is to provide those sophisticated financial instruments to be able to apply for any loan with any bank on any platform. And that is there to help that individual or that business. I think we'll know we're winning when we've reached that point.
Wow, to take out any loan from any bank on any platform. That sounds very convenient for consumers and SMEs. Moving on to our next question. This is from Riera Malyari of Manila Standard for Arlene Martinez. What government interventions or support do you suggest for the continued growth of the domestic e-commerce industry to help SMEs and cross-border access to clients?
So one of the things we've seen that we need from the government is the very basic redefinition of MSME. We have a different definition in the Philippines versus what SME is in Asia and in the world. And then, of course, we have to be able to identify the levels of readiness of MSMEs in terms of digitizing them. We have done the first steps of taking care of their mind setting and all of the information they need through another group, yung Go Negosyo Group or the Kapatid Mentor Me program, and coaching is available in DTI and PTPC extending a lot of trainings for export. But what we don't see is the readiness in itself of the MSME as a whole. So I think what we need there is an opportunity to do a deeper research of the readiness of MSMEs in the Philippines, because that's going to be a big project.
All right.
I think that's the first and main thing that we need to see and find out.
All right, thank you for that, Arlene. And we go to Kim. Kim, the Philippines is Southeast Asia's e-commerce rising star, with e-commerce soon to reach $15 billion or nearly $800 billion by 2025. What is the driving force of that domestic e-commerce sector, and how much more room do you think we have to run?
Well, I think one is because of the pandemic, there are a lot of people who are shopping online. That's one thing that we couldn't deny. And now because I think we're in alert level 1 already, but because of people experiencing and trying to shop online, they saw how seamless, how convenient it is. So we're gonna expect that it would grow more and Filipinos would really shop online.
All right, exciting times. Count us in, shopping online. And now we have this question for Carlo Calimon. Carlo, what is the best strategy to start up a startup? Where do we begin? Always the hardest question.
Well, there are several ways to start actually, but I think one of the first things that anybody has to think about is what problem are you really trying to solve, and is it something that is relevant in today's day and time, right? By starting off with a problem, it essentially allows you to see first and foremost whether there's going to be future demand for what you're thinking about. And with so many problems happening around us, right? A person can come up with multiple things that they can start off with. But which one of those will you choose from? That will be dependent as you validate, right, that particular idea, that particular solution, right, before actually executing it. Because we've seen that, from the startup space, there are occasions wherein people will start building something without really understanding, okay, this is actually a problem worth solving, and there's a market ready to accept that solution, right? So normally I would tell tell my mentees that, okay, stop building first, slow down a little bit. Let's try to figure out first whether or not the idea and the problem that you have is actually relevant first.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Carlo. Final question. This one goes for Saurav. What's the biggest challenge of SMEs connecting to cross-border clients that's hampering their business expansion? What do you think?
Yes, so apart from everything that was said today, I would go down to trust. As SMEs go cross-border to expand overseas, the first transactions are the most difficult. Conversely, once they have the first transactions, breaking that and going to another opportunity or option is also again a trust barrier actually. And that's what we see as the most important aspect. Today, as we help certain trade corridors with very core commodities, we see that trust as a very important aspect to even start going to other suppliers globally, especially with the conflict that we see in the countries that we know of today.
Trust is a very critical currency, especially in the digital world. Thank you, Saurav. I think at this point, we're ready to hear from Ms. Amor Maclang, who will recap this exciting discussion that we've just had in the last 40, 50 minutes. Amor, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Mimi is one of the few, if not the foremost journalist who actually understands our level of geekery here in Digital Pilipinas. So thank you so much, Mimi, for always being there to bridge this ecosystem with the rest of the Philippines. It's not so much a recap, but really more of, there was something you asked about how to build a unicorn. And I think I just want to remind many of the SMEs listening out there and the technology companies that that's not an exit, or being a unicorn is not the be all and end all of why we're doing technology, right? At the end of the day, like I said at the opening, technology is here to help us achieve our greatest potential for humanity and for the good of all, right? If you happen to just become a unicorn like Gcash and send it, who both made it look so effortless, then well and good for you. But there are three things that we're looking at definitely in the ecosystem of Digital Pilipinas, which is now, by the way, thanks to many of you here, is the largest private sector-led ecosystem for teching up the country. Education is one, and we're challenging how education is now being served. Education was one of those industries that almost succumbed to COVID because it did not necessarily allow for the flow, not just of data, but also at the same time of payments. And where we saw the free flowing of payments and money, that industry thrived, right? And where it did not, it almost choked. But together with Mapua, with the National University of Singapore, and with SMU through our partners Proxtera, Oxygen, and Apex, we will be revisiting how education is served in micro-certifiable bits. And your credits will not be churned out in a digital recto. Everyone here is kind of like asking for a certificate, but rather your credits are with you immutably on the blockchain. So shout out there to Affinity, who is our partner for this project. It's the blockchain wallet of Temasek. The next one is the creation of greater access. And how do we create a marketplace that actually bring all of our SMEs together, not just from the point of view of procurement, but also from the point of view of exchange of innovation, data, and payments. And I'll get back to you on that in a little bit. Now, in Digital Pilipinas, in partnership with the Department of Trade and Industry and the Department of Science and Technology, our objective is to localize innovation, because it's only when we create an innovation quotient for the country that we can then make it a standard for all of us to think, act in a unicorn or in a startup manner. And it's not about identifying one or two startups that would eventually become unicorns, but it's how do we create an ecosystem where everyone has the potential to be a unicorn. Now, in closing, I love what KD said. Welcome. I don't want to preempt your our welcome officially to the Proxtera and the MAS family. There's going to be a coming together later with Saurav. But you're absolutely right. It's all about getting personal. And in Digital Filipinas, we just haven't built an ecosystem. We've built a family. And I think that's why, you know, when the newest member of our family, Ramesh, who just flew into Manila last night, said, wow, this looked and sounded so much fun. It's because we've been drinking together for the past so many years. People, for example, like Arlene and also Yang Yang, who in her earlier life, but I don't think, you know, you can get her out of crypto and blockchain, but you can't get crypto and blockchain out of Yang Yang, one of the original women in blockchain. And I'm so excited about what you're doing now, creating more platforms. So you can't look at Sendit as just a unicorn or a fintech, but rather more like a platform. I love what I heard today about Send Capital, or the fact that you can actually help us put more Filipinos in the global map. So we'll really take you up on that, Yang Yang. Last night, I also had a chat with Ramesh about how do we create a platform for more e-commerce rock stars like Kim Lato to actually propel themselves in a regional stage or a global stage in a manner that's safe and secure. Let's carry on that discussion, Ramesh, not just for the Philippines, but for the rest of ASEAN. Because I think our one ASEAN movement is not just going to be for fintech, but it could also be for cybersecurity and also for e-commerce. Now, in terms of creating greater access and inclusion, shout out to Carlo Calimon of Startup Village. And together with you, we look forward to creating more startups all over the Philippines, one city and one region at a time. And from startups being propelled to businesses without borders, we look to Arlene for this, who's actually one of the queens. That's queen with a K to you, in logistics and Logitech. When I met her almost 10 years ago, I couldn't understand why anyone was so passionate about taking up the Philippine postal system. I'm so happy that so many years after, I'm now eating humble pie and I'm like, wow, what you did at that time, that was really pure vision. Because as Carla said, you now are the holy trinity of between e-commerce, crypto, and logistics. But of course, Carla, I have to say, additionally to that is crypto and blockchain. Youth, Kim, you have 7 years before you turn into the ripe old age of 40 to create more Kim Latos, not just for the Philippines, but for the rest of ASEAN. And guys, I couldn't be prouder. Imagine an 18-year-old starting what is now the largest tech verticals for e-commerce in the Philippines. So that's been 15 years ago, and I can only imagine what you can do with this entire family at your disposal. Now, my real mission, and I mentioned this to Todd and Ramesh, and I have my friend Peter Franken to blame for all of this. Hi, Peter. Is our vision for one API for every business. In a world where it all looks like a Tower of Babel, the only way we can truly be digital and connect in a digital economy is through APIs. And I've been having talks with Yoli for Globe and also with Todd of Broncos. Mike, good to meet you for the first time. is how do we at least start with this SME cohort? Imagine the idea and the gift of an API for every SME. Thank you so much to ACSB for believing this crazy idea. I've agreed to serve as chairman for their for taking up their MSMEs specifically because of this purpose. So KD and Mike, we'll talk soon. We'll talk soon. We will not stop unless my favorite taho vendor is stacked up and connected via an API economy. Last but not the least, Saurav, we really, really want to support whatever it is that you guys are doing. It's not for Singapore, I know, but for the rest of the world. Digital Pilipinas is the channel partner of Proxtera, Apex, and Oxygen here in the Philippines. And I cannot thank you enough in behalf of a Digital Pilipinas for all that you guys do, not just for MSMEs, not just for fintech and startups, but for putting ASEAN in a global technology map. Maraming salamat, and I look forward, and thank you so much to our Digital Pilipinas family.
All right. Thank you very much, Amor. At this point, we'd like to request all of our panelists to please keep your cameras open. We'll do a quick photo op with all members of the panelists with, of course, Ms. Amor Maclang. Please flash your brightest smile, and we'll have someone from the production team to take our photos.
All right, everyone. In 3, 2, 1, smile. Another one. In 3, 2, 1, smile. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much to our panelists for generously imparting us your knowledge and insights and your time. At this point, we're now ready to witness the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Proxtera, Globe Telecom from the Philippines supporting SME financial education as well. We'd like to call on representatives from Proxtera and Globe Telecom to formally sign the first MOU that Proxtera will ink with the Philippines to further enhance the digitization of the domestic SME space. We'd like to call on Saurav Bhattacharya from Proxtera, of course. From Globe Telecom, we've got Stella Dizon, head of MSME Group of Globe, to represent Globe Telecom, and of course, Ms. Amor Maclang of Digital Pilipinas for the ceremonial signing. Okay, and then congratulations, guys. Let's take a quick photo with the 3 crucial representatives for this partnership. Okay, I think somebody from the organizing committee will take the photo. So it's Ms. Amor, Ms. Katie, and Saurav.
By KD.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do I put myself on the screen? Oh, there. Okay, I just had to talk. Okay. Hello.
All right po. Smile in 3, 2, 1. Another one. In 3, 2, 1. Smile. All right. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations once again for this milestone that we've all witnessed today. We're looking forward to the fruits of this partnership. Now, at this point, we, I think, are ready to move on with the program, and we'd like to invite Gia Dionido, the officer in charge of Business Management Training Services Division, a brand manager for Push Start Business Incubation Program, to please grace our virtual stage for the presentation of the PTTC graduates. Gia?
Thank you, Ms. Mimi. Thank you, Ms. Mimi. So good morning, everyone. I am here on behalf of our Executive Director, Nelenita Dalera, and I am proud to present to you the PTTC's Push Start Business Incubation Program. So just to give a brief background, Push Start was officially launched last September 14, 2021 with executives from the DTI family. And one of the highlights also was the sharing of one of our MSMEs, namely the fast food products, because we wanted to hear straight from our MSMEs their experiences using technology solutions when the pandemic hit. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced our MSMEs to adapt to processes they weren't used to. But one thing it also taught us is that with perseverance, right knowledge, and ample support, we will rise and overcome. This is why In alignment with the DTI's direction of adopting digital transformation for MSMEs, the Philippine Trade Training Center launched the Push Start Business Incubation Program, a program aimed to give tech startups their much needed boost in their build, pitch, and sustain needs while being able to provide technology solutions to our MSMEs. So Push Start is a two-pronged program. One is that Push Start training pathway for individuals or group of founders of tech enterprise, regardless of sector. Training modules include fundamentals of business model development, and sales and marketing and product fit. Our incubators also had the privilege of having one-on-one in consultation and strategy development and growth hacking. The other is the Push Start development platform, which assisted startup enterprises that focuses on solutions, applications, business models useful to the business functions of MSMEs, like sales and marketing, accounting, human resource and organizational development, business management, and product management. After 3 months since the first day of incubatees, the PSIs, or the Push Start incubatees, as we fondly call them, capped off their training with demo days and wrap-up days in December 2021. That gave them the platform to showcase the things they learned from the 3 months of training. But our engagement with them didn't end on the wrap-up day. We continue to engage them and nurture them to be with them as they grow. That is why we would like to thank the team of Digital Filipinas, headed by Miss Amor, for being one of our partners in giving programs to our tech startups and MSMEs. As she said a while ago, how do we create an ecosystem where everyone can be a unicorn? So maraming salamat, Miss Amor. And to know more about our Push Start program and our graduates, I am inviting you to watch this video. Thank you, please.
We made a call, and the best tech startups have been chosen. We put them under our wings and guide them all the way. We nurtured, trained, mentored, and coached them. They had all made it to the finals and pitched their business ideas to possible investors, corporate partners, and end users. It was a tough journey, but our pilot run for the Push Start Business Incubation Program had been wrapped up, and we now have our first batch of graduates. Some of our pioneer graduates wanted to share their experiences while they were under our wings.
The PTTC program, this Push Start Incubation Program, they were very instrumental in helping us create the Tripper platform, since the mentors, the people involved here, they helped us refine and also define our business pitch and the focus of our product development. So with that kind of help, we were able to reach out to customers, we were able to talk to them, understand more of their behavior, understand how they're going to use our platform. So those things, we actually learned that here in PTTC, and it's like a hindi kami nahiya in terms of connecting with the customers because of PTTC, because they really pushed us to work on our idea.
I think it is timely that we have this incubation program offered by DTI, because I'm very aware that our neighbors like Singapore and even Vietnam, they all already into this. There are a lot of unicorns companies already sprouting in those countries, and I think it is time for the Philippines to have this training. And just like what I mentioned, a little push will really help a lot. And for us personally, so without DTI and without this Push Start, I think those 12 weeks are very integral part of our journey, in our startup journey. So I think having this, and I hope DTI will continue, and a lot of people who want to continue or to materialize their vision, I think it will be better to continue this program.
Get to learn from experts, got to learn from like investors. What are the things that we have to watch out for? What are the things that we need to consider before pitching? What are the possible red flags or things that you have to look out for when you're searching for an investor or picking an investor? Yeah, those things.
Our journey with our pilot batch will continue to be with them on their small and big wins.
We made a call, and many have responded. They went through a rigorous process from submitting applications to facing the judges. And now, we are ready to launch the pioneering batch of Push Start Business Incubation Program. Here are the startups and scales-up that aim to provide solutions to our business operations. Benta TV is an e-commerce solutions platform aimed at making online selling easier by equipping sellers with efficient tools such as product management, order management, payment gateways, third-party logistics, and sales tracking. Geopic Technologies aims to establish micro-fulfillment hubs or parcel pickup points through sari-sari stores located in Cagayan de Oro City and Davao City. Aside from reducing operational costs of logistic companies, it will also give them additional revenues to the sari-sari stores that will qualify as a micro-fulfillment hub. Technovation LMS is a startup that aims to bring trainings to the virtual world. They envision providing course trainings with progress assessments per module per course. Ampitech startup creates technologies that enables active involvement of people to bridge the gaps in the society, assuring equity and inclusiveness. Rapid Signal Electronics is your digital transformation partner. The startup specializes in digitalizing daily business processes such as invoicing, inventory shipment, budgeting, and accounting. Toka is an alternative delivery service and more. Aims to have an online platform for pickup requests, scheduled on-demand delivery, parcel delivery, and personal shopper functions. Lami app by Nuwatech aims to empower homemaker nanays to have their own food business and sell their home-cooked meals online. Shipper is a travel tech startup that aims to provide tools for the tourism industry using data-driven market insights in creating trip plans. Xiles is a tech scale-up that empowers MSMEs to digitalize their end-to-end operations. They strive to improve their customers' experience by eliminating complexity. Panay 360 is a search engine optimized website that showcases 360-degree virtual tours of establishments, landmarks, and properties in Panay Island. With its immersive experience, Panay 360 envisions attracting prospective investors for the city. Food Ranger PH offers fast food and halal food delivery and virtual online groceries delivery in every city. It also offers delivery of fresh seafood and fresh fruits. 188 Express Butuan is a startup that monitors business operations by utilizing digital platforms. It also does marketing services using any digital platform available. Taxumo is a tech scale-up focused on providing an online tax compliance tool in the Philippines, helping freelancers, self-employed professionals, small business owners, and corporations file and pay their taxes wherever they may be. The Avigate app helps merchants sell on social media by creating no-code and set chatbots that sell for them 24/7. It's an online selling assistant to help MSMEs navigate the post-pandemic digital commerce growth. CDB.ph is a community-based e-commerce marketplace for Filipino MSMEs. Anyone can sign up and start selling. Raffle Exchange aims to provide an instant and affordable loyalty system to businesses of any size and promote products without significantly encoding profitability compared to deals and discounts. The Dream Team is a startup that brings businesses to the next level by helping them operate on digital platforms. The Dream Team is committed to helping businesses experience growth by applying recent sales and marketing trends. Tanggere is a tech scale-up that provides affordable market research to SMEs in the FMCG industries to help them know their millennial market better using big data analytics. Delivery Boy PH is a tech startup that enables MSMEs to display their products in the app of their customers. Delivery Boy PH also provides free graphic design and create business pages on Facebook to boost MSMEs' online presence. Chat Hero helps MSMEs accelerate their digital transformation by providing an affordable, easy-to-use, all-in-one sales and marketing toolkit consisting of chatbot, e-commerce site, messenger e-commerce app, SMS and email and social media marketing automation, and customer relationship management platform essential towards driving more sales, improving brand awareness and loyalty, and increasing profit while reducing costs. Big Buy digitalizes Sari Sari stores into an e-commerce mobile application that aims to provide the community the basic needs from commodities to necessities, without the need to go to the nearby supermarket or bigger grocery stores for the consumers. SurePlus is a tech startup that resells, repurposes, and reallocates surplus food to minimize food wastage and hunger. Through its existing website and upcoming mobile app, we will match those with surplus food to those looking for more affordable food. Those that won't be sold will be repurposed into value-added products or turned into meals and relocated to partner charities and communities. Baeng Hydroponics from Baguio City, it is focused on developing alternative and agricultural technologies to help urban households in creating small-scale hydroponic setups. Alipugpug Tech Solutions connect to small-scale farmers to increase their income through an automated vertical farming system made out of bamboo, which also offers a healthy market ecosystem for farmers through a digital platform that is easy to use. Tapo app aims to directly link farmers to agricultural goods user. The app aims to do the marketing for the farmers and help them reach a wider market, eliminating the middlemen who earn more than them.
We are ready to make another call. Watch out for our next batch of NQBDs. Build, pitch, sustain. This is Push Start.
Congratulations to Push Start and to our PTTC graduates. It was an honor to see the exciting things that we've got lined up for all of us consumers here. And I think that is a wrap for this morning's event. I am very excited to see the next generation of Filipino SMEs and e-commerce leaders. I believe that with all of us coming together, really devoting our time and talent towards a more robust economy, we can indeed tech up Pilipinas. And with digitalization and e-commerce, the future is brighter than we imagine. And guess what? The future is here. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Digital Pilipinas is the largest private sector-led movement to build an ecosystem for innovation and technology for the country. And our hope is to not just take on some of the largest problems of the Philippines that are addressable with technology, but collectively to raise our innovation quotient as a country. We are experiencing a technology renaissance here in the Philippines, where the best and brightest from all over the world are actually choosing to domicile themselves here in the Philippines. Now what we're seeing is an influx of global technology talents choosing to headquarter themselves here in the Philippines because we have the greatest talent for it. We have a killer ecosystem, the most enabling regulators. So the formula for success to build a great technology business is here in the Philippines.
Digital Pilipinas, as a movement, represents the most expansive, industry-driven effort to bring together the champions of emerging technologies with the business leaders who are committed to transforming the landscape. It is our honor and privilege to once again co-convene Digital Pilipinas. Let the world feel the excitement as our nation becomes a center for innovation.
This year, we have 4 priority areas. Number 1 is MSME, digitalization, and e-commerce. The ultimate objective is to be able to trade in trust and in confidence outside of your traditional borders. All of the technological advancements that we're experiencing right now is really intended to create more cross-border cooperation. Digital Pilipinas is the channel partner of Proxtera, the global procurement arm of the MAS that is intended to create a safe space for entrepreneurs from all over the world to be able to trade in security and in trust.
As a pioneer in e-commerce in electronics, my vision is to see every Filipino household having a gadget purchased from Kim Store. We share the same goal with Digital Pilipinas, pursuing the same mission, gathering talented individuals who can make a change and putting Philippines in the center of innovation.
The Philippine e-commerce market is forecasted to be the fastest growing e-commerce market globally this year, growing by more than 25%. That has created a very dynamic part of the economy. It's powered by the marketplaces and shop platforms, powered by a whole network of enablers, by a whole community and a whole industry that is developing there to support e-commerce. And Digital Filipinas is bringing together a lot of those ecosystem stakeholders, and as such I'm very glad to be part of the Digital Filipinas movement that helps to develop this vibrant industry in the Philippines.
The second work stream that we're championing in Digital Pilipinas is the creation of an API-led economy. We're looking at launching an API marketplace that would allow for continuous innovation and continued connection between businesses and organizations here in the Philippines.
An API-led economy is about unbundling products so that customers can access what they want when they want it at a competitive price. They can use APIs, connect to a startup that's specifically serving that community. And that's the power of the API-led economy. It allows the product and the providers and the users who are receiving and benefiting from that product to connect in ways they couldn't before.
Financial inclusion is ensuring that we make financial services accessible and affordable to every individual and business in the country. It also allows us to educate and promote discovery on their own and assist them with the right services anywhere they are and anytime they need it.
The third work stream that we're championing in Digital Pilipinas is all about micro-education and micro-certification. The way we look at education has tremendously changed throughout the years. No longer are kids committed to take a 4, 6, 7-year course in university, and instead they're focusing on technological skills that are snackable and easy to acquire, immediately certifiable, and with your credentials being carried with you in the blockchain. We will be launching this year an internship program that would allow undergraduates or career shifters to be able to experience several corporations in 1 year, so that by the time that they graduate from the internship or the fellowship program, they are Web 3.0 ready.
We have to embrace the idea of micro-credentials, micro-certifications, or even micro-degrees. What it is really is learning less things and learning things faster. What we need to do together with Digital Pilipinas is create that bridge that will address the skills gap in this new economy. From what skills you have now and what you need to do to get the skills you need tomorrow.
So the way we see EdTech is really to solve not just 1 or 2 pain points, but really solve most of the pain points of the entire ecosystem. And that's really by pushing for digital learning and helping both not just the students and their parents, but also the teachers, the schools, and all the institutions like government and corporates that are working towards independent, well-trained, successful citizenry that can get the jobs and the careers that they want.
Embracing digital opportunities requires developing new digital skills. There is no question about it. This means empowering learning, supporting public policies for reskilling, and encouraging continuous improvements in that area. As we consider the challenges facing the world today, we at Microsoft acknowledge the enormous responsibility we have to ensure that the technology we are building benefits everyone around us. And it has to be in line with our mission, which is to empower every person and every organization on the planet.
And last but not the least is, of course, fintech, which is the fuel that fires all of these industries. We look at fintech not so much as a vertical, but rather a horizontal that powers various industries. During the pandemic, everyone talked about the dramatic increase in digitalization and also in digital transformation. A lot of what precipitated that was actually the movement of money. And the movement of money in those various verticals was brought about by fintech. In our case, we will ensure that fintech will continue to not just energize but revitalize legacy industries for the country.
To have also a basis by which, I used the word laymanize earlier, but by which we can laymanize the application of technology and understand the fact that we can only do so much relative to educating or telling or basically increasing the level of financial literacy of people. So there can be an approach wherein it can be hybrid. There can be an approach by which we can be more patient about people not adopting immediately.
What fintech did is they proved that the minimum digital hygiene of 24/7 accessibility, Six Sigma reliability, real-time transactions, safe and secure was very possible. The use of mobiles and other devices allowed those services to be self-service in many ways. So that basically increased the accessibility of financial services to a broader set of the population.
We recognize that not one company can make finance for all happen. We believe in the power of collaboration and how it could speed up inclusion. This will help us in our desire to empower communities because even the tiniest contribution adds up and has a snowball effect to create meaningful waves of impact in the country today.
Digital Filipinas has been one of the strongest advocates for the use of technology in multiple industries in Philippines. Now, for Philippines to be the center of cryptocurrency and blockchain, it's important that there are macro policies created that incentivizes companies to invest in Philippines. Secondly, the understanding of blockchain ecosystem and cryptocurrencies is included in the education syllabus. And last but not the least, the research and development around this technology is incentivized.
The right timing, the right ingredients are all in place. We can truly start the beginning of our road to a digital Pilipinas.
Let's all build a cyber-secure digital Pilipinas.
Together, let's build a digital Pilipinas through open finance.
Through e-commerce.
Through edutech.
Through fintech.
Mabuhay ang digital Pilipinas.
Mabuhay.
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 Let's build a digital Pilipinas together.